What's up, everybody? Brandon Spilly here from Thirst Gym, and today we're doing a new, different structured video I posted over on my Instagram story. So if you're not following me over on social media, just go over to @bsmilly on Instagram. You can find all some great information, free content stuff there. But I posted up on there about doing program reviews of athletes, former athletes, strength conditioning programs that I kind of get and see. So we're going to kind of walk through these today. And this particular one is over a Division III soccer player program. And I'm going to make sure that I do not name the athletes. I do not name the strength coach. I do not name the program I'm discussing. Again, these are going to have positives and negatives. So it's not that I'm just going to rip them apart. I'm going to kind of walk through step by step what I see. Typically, it wouldn't be old school pen and paper like this, but this is just how I was given this program. So I'm not going to, unfortunately, take the time and the resources to upload this all up online for people to see. I think just walking through it step by step together is going to be enough to provide some educational content. And if you obviously have questions, just leave them in the comments section below. This is also going to be recorded as well for Spotify or anywhere you happen to listen and enjoy your podcast. So this will eventually make it up to a podcast. If you happen to be listening in the past to this video or over wherever you like to listen to your podcast, you can actually watch the visual side over on YouTube. And before I get too started, if you happen to like content like this, do me a favor, hit the like button, comment, let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want me to review, share with a friend, subscribe. That's all fantastic stuff. As I'm sure you notice, I've put a lot more effort into YouTube as of late, and doing those little things is something that really helps me just a little bit, but then I also get to get feedback from you of what you enjoy. So without further ado, I already kind of gave some background of what this program is and who it's for. I am going to assume, based upon talking to the athlete, that this is an off-season based training program. It's what they should be doing currently in preparation for going to college. So, I can only give so much context based off of what I have on a piece of paper. I'm not talking to the coach. I'm only talking to the athlete. So it looks like starting off, we have a warm-up protocol here at the very top, and it just says foam roll, bands, dynamics. I don't know what that all entails. Foam rolling, I can make a pretty good assumption. The bands, I have no idea what that means. That could be band stretching. That could be band activation drills. That could be stuff for the hips. It could be stuff for the shoulders. Like I said, I really don't know what that means, so can't really expand there. And same thing with dynamics. I'm sure this performance coach or strength coach or even a soccer coach, because it's Division III, knows what that means, but I do not know what that means. Then next, they have that they're going to do juggling for 500 reps or 5 minutes. So since this is soccer, we're talking about juggling the soccer ball with our feet. Not a bad thing. Not what I would probably do for a warm-up in a performance program. But if you're trying to improve touches, get some maybe extra skill work, not the worst thing in the world. So, maybe the athlete should come in prior to the actual scheduled strength conditioning time to get that done. But here nor there. Then we got jump rope for 200 reps or for 4 minutes, whichever comes first. Again, I love the jump rope. I think it's a great way to warm up for your training program. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't know what the dynamics include. So maybe there's something from the dynamics that we can take away. Maybe we can just do the jump rope as part of that dynamics and then, some lateral lunges, side-to-side work. Again, don't know. And then 10 and 40-yard sprints. And they're going to be starting a new sprint every 30 seconds. So this part I really don't quite understand. I'm not against doing speed and agility work, especially at the front of a training program. I think that's a fantastic idea. 400 yards of sprints before you even get into your strength and conditioning work. So, this right now, just looking at the warm-up protocols on here, let's just say that the foam rolling is 3 minutes, the band works 3 minutes, the dynamic warm-up is 5 minutes. Right there's 11 minutes of training time. Plus we got 5 minutes and 4 minutes on our jump rope and our juggling. We're talking 20 minutes right here. And then we've got our sprints to where we're going to be doing a new sprint every 30 seconds. So you're basically looking at approximately 5 to 6 minutes of sprinting. You're looking at almost 30 minutes of this warm-up protocol before you even get into the actual strength and conditioning piece of it. So, if I'm really judging this on just the strength and conditioning side, the warm-up is too exhaustive. It's too much. The sprint work could be implemented into the actual piece. I also say that I don't know what these athletes, if this is what the other athletes are doing that are currently on the university campus. if they are having other soccer practices as well. I would like to assume that they are, but again, I don't know. So we're just going to assume that there's probably 1 to 2 days of actual soccer practice involved as well. It looks like they're trying to mix in a lot of things here before we even get into the strength conditioning piece, which is a little questionable. But again, Division III level, so they could be strapped for resources or time or getting the availability into certain aspects of the facilities. So I'm going to just say the warm-up needs to be significantly cut down from the strength and conditioning side. But that's as far as I'm going to go there. And then we've got some different days here. So it looks like, actually going through some of these sheets, so I've briefly looked through these, but I've not like gone into the weeds of them. It does look like I did have it out of order here. That is actually the Tuesday day. It looks like the Monday day, it does look like there is just foam rolling, juggling for 5 minutes, bodies. I have no idea what that means. And then dynamics. So it is a little bit shorter. So this I do like. So I think that this is probably fine, right? This is probably acceptable for a warm up. Probably going to be about 10 minutes. You can get away with that. So we'll start with Monday's lift since I got this in order now. So we have a 3-week wave on this one sheet. And this is the Monday lift. So the first exercise is a dumbbell or kettlebell suitcase carry. Distance for each side or arm is listed. And then we have a wall ball using a 20-pound wall ball. And it looks like week 1, we have 2 sets. Week 2, we have 2 sets. And week 3, we have 2 sets. And this dumbbell or suitcase carry is going to be 25 yards on each side. Don't have anything wrong with that. The wall balls, 10 reps across the board on all 3 weeks. So the first thing I'm noticing just looking at the month here is that there's no progression. Obviously, the goal for the suitcase carry is going to be to increase the load over the course of the 3 training weeks. The wall balls has a static weight, so therefore I would either like to see the reps go up or the med ball go up. But maybe that's all they have access to be able to make this work. But I'm not really sure I understand the point of the wall balls here. Usually used for conditioning. You could use it as a triple extension exercise, but usually it's missing the extension at the ankle. So I'm not really sure if this is something that I would do, but you could also look at it as like a winning warm-up or an extended warm-up. You kind of get some big rocks turned over, a squat pattern, a press pattern, heart rate elevated, and some extra abdominal work with suitcase carries before you even move into the rest of your strength training program. So it's not the worst thing in the world by any means, but it just leaves me wondering, what's the intent of the exercise? And bad thing about looking at a program from the outside looking in, talking to the coaches, is you can't ask them why, right? I can only just use fundamental ideas and philosophies of why this is what it is. So anyways, we're going to move down to the next thing. So then we have our bench press, and we have a cable core rotation. So I'm assuming like a standing cable rotation. So we're supersetting a main exercise with the abdominal exercise. Not a bad thing, especially in collegiate strength conditioning. If trying to get as much work done in as little time as possible, that can be a great way to superset, because that's not going to interfere with your bench press performance, or it should not, at least if you're in decent enough shape, with these soccer players should be. And then the progression over the 3 weeks is 3 sets of 12, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 8. Pretty linear progression. I'm going to assume that with this time of year, they're trying, and looking at this as we go, they're trying to put strength and more so mass on these athletes. It's not a bad thing. It's not where I would perform the higher repetition work, but is what it is. At least there is some kind of linear progression here, so that's not the worst thing. They've got alternating dumbbell incline bench press and a cable core out and up. So it looks like we're doing another trunk exercise. So I'm assuming this is a cable lift, at least what I would call it, a cable lift. And then alternating dumbbell incline bench press, not a bad thing. Again, same set and rep schemes here. So the core rotations, by the way, were 10 reps across the board. This is 10. Same thing here. We're doing the incline dumbbell bench press, 12, 10, 8, 3 sets over the course of the 3 weeks. And the cable lifts, 3 sets of 10 across the 3 weeks. Same kind of thing. I'm not going to repeat myself, but, I would probably have the bench press heavier. And if you wanted to have higher rep work on your dumbbell work, that's fine. The other thing that comes to be a question here is that working with a team, depending upon what your strength and conditioning facility has, using that many dumbbells with that many kids could be a logistical issue, just something to consider. I don't know what they have access to, but this is something that I think about in my facility. If I had 20 athletes and I was trying to do alternating dumbbell incline press and cable lifts, I only have 4 cables and 5 benches. So it could work, but the dumbbells could be a potential problem. We then got dumbbell overhead press and hanging leg raises. Again, more trunk work. So this coach is really heavy on the trunk work. Not an awful thing, but I think at this point we've kind of exacerbated that. The quality that you're going to get from the hanging leg raises after doing the other abdominal work is probably not worth the time invested, in my opinion. And then the dumbbell overhead press, I'm assuming it's seated. It could be standing. Who knows? And then the same progression, 3 sets of 12, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 8. Again, pretty standard hypertrophy stuff. But with how much pressing we've already done, is that something that we need to chase? In my opinion, no, but what do I know? And then we've got tricep press downs with the cable and med ball slams, 12, 10, 8 for the press downs for 3 sets, and then 3 sets of 10 on the med ball slams across the 3-week wave. And then they've got a hip, groin, and glute circuit, and it says 2 sets of 25 for all 3 weeks. It says 5 reps of each, fire hydrants, straight leg back, whatever that is, full cycle back first, full cycle side first, heel to sky equals 25 total each side, 2 sets. So I don't really know what that means. I know what some of those are, but straight leg back, I'm assuming just Jane Fonda kind of kick up, and then I don't know what the full cycle first back first. That's really kind of confusing. So I'm not even going to go with that. In my opinion, if these are collegiate soccer players, if you want to do some kind of hip and groin circuit, I would probably do it at the beginning as an extended warm-up and then get on with your day. I think this is probably just too much random work that's a waste of time, in my opinion. So either scrap it or just very low-level hip prep work at the beginning of the training session. And this is obviously an upper body day. So again, not a bad thing to do it, but maybe you want to put that prep before you go to squat and deadlift. Just, thinking out loud here. And then the press downs, like I said, this is just, everything is progressing the same. So my big thing here with this is that I'm assuming obviously we're after hypertrophy, but this is clearly a push day. This looks like a very bro bodybuilding day with a lot of extra ab work put in. So, this is not the best training session that I've seen, but it's also not the worst. There's room for improvement. I would just push the strength work on the bench press, go heavier, screw the reps, get your hypertrophy work from your accessory work, which they clearly do have. But then I would probably mix in some kind of back work for some of these different ab exercises they've got in. So if you really want to be time efficient, you can put a row with the bench press. You can put a lat pull down with the incline bench press. Keep your hanging leg raises with your dumbbell overhead press. That's what you want to keep. Fine. And, your press down, that's fine. So there's at least the day one. So, and then they've got the cool down, more 5 minutes of juggling with the ball and band or body stretching. So whatever, not the worst thing. But we've already talked about the Tuesday one where we talked about the sprints and all that kind of stuff, how that extended warm-up was definitely way too much. Okay, so we're going to pull that down. Let's go into the actual training session portion. So they don't even have this listed as like 1A, 1B. They just have box jumps and then farmer's carries. I'm assuming this is probably a typo, so let's hang with me. But they're going to do 2 sets of 10 of box jumps for the whole 3 weeks. And then they're going to do a dumbbell farmer carry for 40 yards for 2 sets all 3 weeks. Not, again, awful. I don't think this is terrible. But we did suitcase carries. Do we really need to do farmer carries on the next day after we've already done that? So you're talking 24 hours of time and you're doing another carry variation. To me, a little exhaustive, a little too much. But again, like I said, not the worst thing. And the box jumps, do you like they say to emphasize soft landing? So they're working on absorbing force and working on some landing mechanics. I think that's a great thing. 2 sets of 10, though, knowing the box jumps are usually going to be for power and explosion, I would have my reps lower and have my sets higher so you get high quality effort of work. And if you wanted to get rid of that farmer's carry, you could put in a mobility drill or another plyometric, like a side-to-side plyometric, a lateral plyometric. They've already got the sprints that they've done. So, you're talking about a lot of work here already. I just think that the 2 sets of 10, by the time you get to those final sets, your effort is going down and you're not really getting what we want, which I'm assuming is triple extension and power. Okay, so next we've got this is where I have a little bit of some weird question marks here, but bear with me. So our first main strength exercise is going to be the front squat, the same progression that we had on this block. 3 sets of 12, week 1, 3 sets of 10, week 2, 3 sets of 8, week 3. Not the worst thing, again, trying to put some size on, that's fine. Not what I would do, but again, I would push the strength side. You could still keep the reps at like 5, 6, maybe dabble into an 8 here and there. But I think 12 reps on the front squat. But you do also have to kind of remember here the collegiate that a lot of times the first week is just getting kids bar reps and how the training program is going to work. So by getting more reps, you get more practice. With the time constraints, I do understand that, but this is not what I would do. And then I've got the superset with a pull up for 3 sets of max reps all 3 weeks. So we now are starting to see where our pulling variations coming in. These are 2 fantastic exercises, 2 exercises that I personally would not superset. I do know they do not conflict, but anybody that's front squatted heavy knows that your back does a tremendous amount of work of maintaining your position. So something's going to suffer here, either your front squat or your pull-ups. And then you also got to factor in the recovery time. You want plenty of recovery time between these big exercises. So just not where that I would put them. Again, 2 great exercises, just not where I put them. A rear leg elevated squat. So I'm going to assume a Bulgarian split squat is what that means by there. I will say I do like, again, I don't know if this is a typo. I don't believe it is. For week 1, they only have 2 sets of 12, and then they go to 3 sets of 10 and 3 sets of 8. I do like that they're trying to balance the volume out here a little bit better, but I do think 2 sets of 12, even on week 1, is going to leave athletes' glutes and posterior chain absolutely crushed. Again, if you kind of drop the weights down a little bit, maybe build in an RPE, maybe weight cap them to try to work on introduction, and then your week 2 and 3, you can kind of start pushing a little bit more, totally fine. And then we've got a barbell bent over row, 3 sets of 12, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 8. You're kind of seeing the how things are going here from how this is written. So, again, not where I would put it. Those are 2 very demanding exercises. Anybody that's done those exercises know that they being hinged over. Yeah, I'm not a fan. Then we've got reverse curls supersetted with the barbell RDL. This one has me scratching my head. I will admit, this is definitely not a superset that I have ever seen. Not saying that it's the worst, not saying it's the best, just saying it's something novel. Maybe they're onto something that I'm not. But the reverse curls, again, is something I would probably put on this day 1. Superset that with your press downs, get an arm pump, right? But the thing that I'm worried about here more so than anything with this superset is that your grip in the reverse curls is potentially going to hinder your ability to hold on to the barbell for the RDL. Knowing these are college athletes, chances are they're not going to be using straps. So, and then you have to figure out the logistics of, well, you need a barbell to reverse curl, but then you've got to put weight on to do an RDL. A lot of unnecessary weight change. There's a lot of weight room logistics there that I just really don't like. But we have 2 sets of 12 the first week, and then 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 8. So, again, I've gone on the set and rep schemes. I'm not going to go about it. If you want to do the RDLs and this is far later in the program, that's fine. But by the time you front squatted, Bulgarian split squatted, and RDLs, these kids are going to be absolutely toast from the amount of volume that they have. We've then got single leg extensions, and then eccentric inverted row superset. 2 sets of 12 on the leg extensions, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 10, and then the eccentric row is 3 sets of 8, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 12. Now, what I don't know about the eccentric row here, I will admit, is that, are they still doing the concentric portion, or are they just doing the eccentric? That would be the big question mark. But regardless, I should say, especially if you're doing a 3-second eccentric, you add this up, 3 seconds, of course, 12 reps. That's 36 seconds. I'm sorry. 36 seconds. That's a lot of time under tension for that exercise. Plus, if you're doing the concentric and you've got all other back work, you can just see how this back work could be placed elsewhere in the training program. And then the leg extensions, I don't think it's a bad thing for soccer players. I do know that they obviously have a lot of knee issues. Sometimes just building up some resiliency at the quad can be a great thing. So I'm not going to knock that too much. I think it's not terrible. But with everything else, I think there could be more desired across there. And then just a regular straight plank, 2 sets of 90 seconds each week. I'm going to just take the assumption that they're going to try to add weight to that. Okay. And then their cooldown is the same. So from the lower body perspective, from what I've seen from 2 days, we want to take some of the back work on the lower body day, implement it into the upper body day so that's a little bit more balanced. And then on this day, we can implement a little more mobility drills, decrease the training volume because their posterior chains are going to be absolutely smoked, especially you factor in that they've done sprints before this. So it looks like there's probably maybe a little bit of Charlie Francis high-low system here, that they've got the hard sprints, but the training volume is just too high. Like their legs are going to be trash. So you would hope that they have no kind of practice or anything the following day, because there's no way their legs are going to be underneath them on something like this. There's just no way. So then we go to Thursday. So you would assume that means Wednesday's off, but are they practicing? We don't know. We've got the exact same warm up from Monday, so I'm not going to go over that. We have the exact same first two exercises here. The suitcase carry and the wall balls, the exact same thing. So no progression there. I would pick either different exercises or find different prep-based work. Again, I kind of talked about how it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but we're just repeating it. So to me, it does look like a winning warm-up style into the training session. We'll move into the rest of it here. We got an incline dumbbell bench press, the same progression we've seen on every single thing. 3 sets of 12, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 8. And the cable core single arm push rotation. I've got to admit, I don't know what that is. I'm going to assume holding maybe the cable up here and then rotating and pressing. That's the best that I can come. 3 sets of 10. So again, push with a core exercise. Alternating dumbbell bench press. So basically what we've done here, we've taken the flat and the incline work and flipped it from the first day. Same set and rep schemes, 3 by 12, 3 by 10, 3 by 8, and a cable core single arm pull rotation. So now instead of pushing, now we're going to pull, I'm assuming. So again, supersetting more of the core work with pressing. Narrow push-up or a close grip push-up, hands on sides of the med ball. Not the worst thing, and this progression is different. We got 3 sets of 8, 10 to 12, so each week getting more total volume, not a bad thing. And then we've got med ball side toss. So I'm going to assume that's like a scoop toss. 3 sets of 10 on each side. So again, more core. So I'll finish this before I go too far. And then we've got rotating dumbbell raises. I'll be honest, I don't know what that is. I'm going to assume like this. Okay, that's the only thing that I can assume here. And then we've got more med ball slams. And then we've got our hip groin circuit again. And that's it. So same thing I mentioned on the day one. We would like to see less direct core work and superset the pulling exercise that we had, probably from what's going to be on the next day, I'm assuming. Just looking through, yeah, probably. But we want to have a little bit of back supersetted here with that. Just make it an exclusively upper body day for the most part. And then if we want to have some kind of trunk work, again, you've got suitcase carries, rotations. It's not even a true rotational based sport. It kind of is when you plant and turn and kick, but like, you're not trying to actively throw something. So I think that there's other things we can do, but here nor there. The same thing with the volume. I think it's too high too early. Push a little more strength on the main work. Take that med ball side toss or scoop toss and actually put that at the front end of the training session to develop rotational power. I think that would be a much better place for it, where this is just going to, again, make athletes tired. We're just going to be kind of doing the same thing over and over and over. And then the side raises have the same reps. So really, again, just too much volume. Nothing really special here with what's going on. Okay, and then we come to our Friday lift, and we have the same warm-up, but now we have 10 20-yard sprints versus 40 yards. So that part's at least better, that the volume of the sprints came down, and I think it's more realistic. So that part is definitely better on the Friday day. So from the strength training side, same thing. I'm assuming it's like a winning warm-up kind of look at things. The rotating box jump, soft landing, 5 on each side. Not awful. I would probably pull the reps down a little bit, but 2 sets of 10 across the 3-week wave. And again, more farmers carries. So these kids grew up are going to be pretty freaking strong. We got to give them that at least. But again, I would find a different variation of something that you could do here, whether it be a loaded carry or a different abdominal exercise or a different triple extension exercise, a mobility exercise. You're kind of hitting the same stuff every week multiple times. I think it's kind of redundant, especially with the next thing we have, the deadlift. It says trap bar available, which my facility does. So that's great. And then we've got that superset with chin-ups. We're going to the same thing that we kind of basically have with the squat. We're picking a main lower body exercise and supersetting it with a vertical pull. Not what I would do to aid performance. Again, if you're strapped for time, it's not the worst thing, but we got to start considering here now deadlift is the grip. And then you got to factor in these set and reps. They got 3 sets of 12, 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 8 on a trap bar deadlift. No, I would not program that in a million years. The only times I give kids sets of 8 is very early on in their training programs at the first week 1, week 2, and I instruct them to stay light and work on technique as we get quality reps. That's not what I would do here. We then got a dumbbell or kettlebell reverse lunge on each side, the exact same progression we had on the Bulgarian split squats, and then we got a dumbbell bent over row. So it's basically a copy and paste a day with just different variations of the exact same movement. So a bent over row variation. The dumbbell bent over row is going to be a little bit better because you got more range of motion. So I think that part's better. But again, not where I would play that superset. And then we've got reverse curls again. So they're clearly after trying to get some strong forearms and biceps here. And a single leg RDL with a dumbbell or kettlebell and the same progression, 2 sets of 12, 3x10, 3x8. And then we've got leg extensions supersetted with face pulls and then a continuous plank of 140 seconds. And that's straight left side, right side, repeat every 20 seconds. So they're basically just doing a plank, 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 plank. They're just rotating throughout the plank the entire time. Again, not the worst thing, but not what I would do. But if they're strapped for time, but there's a lot of changes here that we can make, and that face pulls is probably not a bad thing to have in here for shoulder health. But again, you can put that in the upper body day. Same thing with the reverse curls. If you want to have curls in there, it's fine. Pick a different variation than what you had on the other day. You a dumbbell or just a barbell or a seated. Find a different way to do that. And you're probably getting enough of that anyway from your pulling anyway. So it's not what I would probably put in a team training program, but is what it is. And there's, again, supersetting all the rows. So it's almost like they just don't know what to fill with that time. So they're going to pull. And I nothing wrong with a big back, but I just think there's other places you could put that, and that something's going to suffer, especially with this amount of volume. So sprints are better on this day. Not great with the deadlifts and chin-ups, the reps, the volume. It's all too much. But everything else is pretty much the same. I'm not repeating myself. So this is going to answer my question on what they're doing on the other days. So it's got what they should do from a running perspective. Now, keep in mind, this has got Wednesday and Sunday. So basically, the only day these kids are having off based on this training program, at least through March, is going to be on Saturdays. And so I'm not going to go into too much of this in terms of the conditioning. I actually think conditioning is great, but with all of this, something's got to give. So, we either got to pull down the volume, got to pull down the number of training days. We definitely got to change the structure here just by looking at this. So Wednesday, they just have a 12-minute run. So they just got to note how many laps they have. Then that Sunday, they're going to do 4 200 repeats. So they're going to sprint 200, rest 30 seconds, jog 200 meters, rest 90 seconds. So not awful. So that one's actually a little bit more manageable. Wednesday, then they got 4 by 3-minute runs, 2 minutes of walking recovery between sets. I don't see anything too majorly issued here. Depends on how hard the runs are. That's an incomplete recovery time. So I would probably just have a little bit more rest, maybe give them 3 minutes, and then maybe change that as you're going. And then more 200 repeats the next week, and they're basically pulling the rest down. So they were at 60 seconds this week, and then they're going 4 by 3-minute runs, and then same thing, 3 by 400 repeats, 90 seconds, 12-minute run, 4 by 400 repeats, 90 seconds. So they're basically increasing the running volume over the course, which actually looks like a methodical way that they're doing this. So that's not bad. Then they just randomly throw in a 16-minute fartlek. So that part I don't really understand why they did that, but is what it is. But everything else is pretty much good quality progress, minimal effective dose from week to week. So that part's good. And then they cap it off with a 12-minute run to retest, basically. My issue here is that we've got those 2 lower body days on. So we got that lower body day on Tuesday where we've got the front squat and all that crazy volume, and then we're expected to do a 12-minute run. You can definitely bet that run number is going to suck. So there's no, their run at the end of the 12 weeks or however long it says should no doubtly be better just because of that. But there's just not enough recovery time. So maybe you have this structured to where you have that lower body day on Monday, upper body day on Tuesday. You could take Wednesday as your recovery run. Okay, so that's where we would do the longer runs without as much intensity. And then, or even vice versa, really, I'm thinking this out even more. You probably could do your main heavy work on Monday, and you could do a light, like flush run on Tuesday. So it's not even about what you do. You could just literally do a 12-minute run at a moderate pace and then build that time up. And that would basically be a GPP recovery day. And then you could have your upper body day on Wednesday. You could do your actual hard repeats on Thursday, take Friday off, lift Saturday. That would be a good 3-day plan. And then you got Sundays off. So that would probably be a better progress there. Now, I want to assume that this is the second week. It is. Okay, so the second phase, I'm sorry. Second 3-week block. So we have everything the same. Suitcase carry is the same. Wall balls is an extra rep. I would probably push the reps up more if you're going to progress just 1 rep. Of course, the 2 sets, I mean, you're talking about 6 extra reps over 3 weeks. So that's probably a waste of time. Bench press progresses by adding a rep to everything. So 3 sets of 13, 3 sets of 11, 3 sets of 9. And same thing on all the other things. The core rotations go up to 3 sets of 11. The alternating dumbbell press, 13, 11, 9, 11, 11, 11. Overhead press, 13, 11, 9. Hanging leg raises, 11, 13, 11, 9 on press downs. So this is honestly just the laziest progression I've ever seen. You literally just added a rep to everything. But the exercise is the exact same. Yeah, exercise is the exact same. So next 3-week wave, do a rep extra. Again, general progress isn't bad, but this is a really lazy way to do it. And especially with the bench press, how many people have done 3 sets of 13 on bench press? Not. Okay. What do we got here? And what do you know? The exact same thing that we have on the lower body day. The progress is the exact same. 11 box jumps, 2 sets, 13 front squat, 11, 9 on the front squat, max reps on pull-ups, 13, 11, 9 on Bulgarian split squats, 13, 11, 9 on bent over rows, 13, 11, 9 on reverse curls. Planks are longer. Again, the exact same progression by adding a rep to every single thing. And same thing on the Thursday lift. All the lifts are the exact same. The progression is just the exact same. I'm not going to waste your time with this. And I'm sure you probably guessed Friday's lift is the exact same with the exact same progression of 13, 11, 9 on majority of things. And the plank has increased by a whole minute. So that's a pretty aggressive increase. But, yep, exact same thing. So I'm not going to go over that one. Okay, so now we've got so now it looks like this is a new training phase. So it looks like we've got a 6-week, essentially, hypertrophy phase, or block is what we'll call it. And then we now have this like strength phase here. So this I'm going to assume is Monday. Yep, this is Monday. So we have the same 2 exercises, suitcase carries and wall balls, back to sets of 10, 2 sets. Then we're going to go to bench press again, but now we're going to do 5 sets of 5. Okay, so this is, in my opinion, probably where this program should have started. Maybe not 5 sets of 5, maybe do 3 sets of 5, but at least we're chasing some strength here. The reps are more manageable. It makes a lot more sense. And then our core rotations, the exact same exercise, 2 sets of 10. Again, we can find something else to superset with that. What are you supposed to do those other 3 sets? Anybody that's worked with athletes and groups knows that athletes standing around are not a good thing. Bad things happen there. Oh, I'm sorry. The bench press is by itself. And then the 2 core exercises, now 3A, 3B, those core exercises of the lifts and the rotations are 2 sets of 10 back-to-back. That I don't like at all. It just doesn't make sense. You're 20 reps of the same, basically the same rotational-based exercises. They're not changing over the course of the training. So I would find something else there. Excuse me. And then we have the tricep press downs, 4 sets of 8. Not superset with anything. That's 5 sets of 8. I'm sorry. Not superset with anything. Hanging leg raise, 2 sets of 10. Med ball slams, 2 sets of 10. And the groin circuit. Now, the only thing that I can deduct from this, because this is a significantly less training volume, right? Like you did a lot of volume here and you pulled out a lot of volume. My only thought process here is that maybe they actually are starting to do some sport-specific work in terms of practice. So maybe they're trying to pull the volume down, which they could have considered earlier in the training block. Excuse me, man. Been a rough day, apparently. So yeah, there's some improvements here that I really like, but there's also some regressions that I don't like. So I don't understand putting all the core work together the way that it is. Like going from doing all that pressing volume, just 5 on bench press and press downs. This is like a super lazy powerlifting program. And then we go to the Tuesday, and we've got our normal warm up again, and we got 5 by 40-yard sprints. They did pull those sprints down, so that again is signaling to me they're probably doing some sport specific work. And then we've got the box jumps and the farmer's carries. That part has not changed. And then our main work here, we have 5 sets of 5 on front squat, all by itself. The pull-ups, 5 sets max reps, all by itself. Bulgarian split squats, 5 by 6 on each leg, all by itself. Barbell bent over row, 5 by 6, all by itself, and the planks by itself. This is a much better program, at least this day right here. Do I think it's probably a lot? Yeah, probably, but you got 4 really big exercises. You're giving it an appreciable amount of weight. You're giving it just enough of the volume that you probably want. You could probably even pull back to 4 sets on the split squats and the rows to make this even a little faster, because you probably don't need to do 10 sets of squatting based variations and 10 sets of pulling, but it's tremendously better. You could take one of these pulling variations, throw it over here with this one. That would immediately make my upper body day much better. And then you can put some actual hamstring specific work here, especially like a leg curl or something like that, or an isometric to prep the hamstrings for other things. So this looks much better, much more balanced. This is probably where it should have started, in my opinion. And then we've got the Thursday day, almost a repeat of that upper body day. Incline dumbbell bench, we have 5 by 8, so a little more volume. Not bad dumbbell work. I'll admit you probably don't want to do 5 sets of 5 on incline dumbbell press. More core rotation superset. That leaves me questioning that right there. Again, we could put another row or a lat pull down or a chin up, something there. We then got close grip push-ups for 5 sets of max reps, our scoop toss, and our mid ball slams. So again, we've already done the suitcase carry and the wall balls, so I'd probably just scrap those. Take the scoop toss and the med ball slams, throw them in the front end of the training session. Instead of 2 sets of 10, maybe do 4 sets of 5 on each side, and then go into your dumbbell bench press. If you want to keep a core rotation there and exercise, I think that's fine. But you could probably do a lat pull down or a chest supported dumbbell row or a tripod dumbbell row, and then close grip push up, superset that with a chin up, blow them up, get them out, something like that. I think that would be much better. So again, a little better, but still more to be desired. And then we come to our Friday day. We got 6 by 20-yard sprints. So again, the volume there is much better on the front end. So I agree with that. I think that's much more realistic. And then we've got our same warm-up, the rotating box jumps and the farmer's carries. It's not changed the whole time. So it is what it is with that. And then we've got our deadlift again, trap bar, 5 by 5. Again, much better. All by itself. I would probably superset it with a mobility drill or something to keep them active, some kind of rehab or prehab exercise, but much better in terms of developing strength. We've got our chin-ups for 5 sets of max reps. Again, going back to that other lower body day, same thing. I think that's fantastic. Not a bad thing. And then we got our reverse lunges. So 5 by 6, probably a little much for me, but much better. And then our bent over dumbbell row for 5 by 6. Again, much better. Probably not where I would put it. And with the dumbbell rows, you can probably get pretty heavy with those. Being bent over after deadlifting, that would leave me questionable. So I would probably put the dumbbell row in with the upper body day. And then if you could have your deadlifts, mobility drill, chin-ups, supersetted with, maybe not the lunges, but chin-ups supersetted with maybe another mobility drill or maybe some light accessory work, and then your reverse lunge. You put your chin-ups, some hamstring work. There's a lot of different variations there, and then your plank time is the same again. And then I don't really know what this is. Might be missing a day from what I got from him, but we'll kind of look here. And then I'm assuming this is the next phase, another 4-week wave. So they did 2 3-week waves and then 2 4-week waves, so that's going to give us 8 plus 6. So that's going to be basically the semester. Okay, so this is basically a semester's worth of training. Our suitcase carries, and or maybe they only moved to, okay, so they've only moved to 2 day a week. So you can tell that the outside work is definitely kicking up. This is a 2 day a week program for the last 4 weeks. So you would assume skill work is increasing. Same warm up of the suitcase carrying the wall ball. So they did that the whole semester. They're then going to do 4 sets of 5 on bench press, supersetted with the Bulgarian split squat of 3x10 on each side. And then it says body weight. So you can tell that they're intentionally trying to decrease the amount of workload that they're doing. This is better. I don't think this is not what I would superset, but the body weight Bulgarian split squat should be manageable for a Division III soccer player. Basically think of it as active mobility, get some blood into the legs. They've got their rotations again, supersetted. Again, I'm not going to go on that anymore. They've got their pull-ups in here for 4 sets of max reps. And then they got a Bosu ball balance side lunge. You know my opinions on Bosu balls. If you listen to any of my content, what a waste of time. I would just do a regular lateral lunge. And they've only doing body weight. That's where I would disagree here. I would probably try to load that up a little bit, unless you're trying to go after mobility work like Cossack squat. And then they've got their hanging leg raises and med ball slams. So big changes here. Med ball slams at the front, develop some power. Bench press is fine. I would take your bench press and superset that with your pull-ups. So take your pull-ups, bring that up towards the top. Do your Bulgarian split squats for 3 sets of 10, maybe 3 sets of 8, 3 sets of 6. Keep that volume lower. So you still push a little bit of weight. Superset that with one of the rotations. Get rid of one of the other rotations. Do your lateral lunges with your hanging leg raises, and you're done. So much better here. Just some things we could change from a structure side. And then on the Thursday day, so I would like to assume that they're probably practicing or doing something Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We've got our suitcase carry and our wall balls again. So they basically moved to doing that both days rather than getting rid of the farmer's walk. So maybe they're trying to decrease the training load there too. We've got the bent over row for 4 sets of 6, supersetted with 3 sets of 10 on the reverse lunge with body weight only. Same kind of thing. Honestly, what I would probably do here is probably put the trap bar deadlift back in. And I know they might be worried about systematic fatigue, but again, if you're doing 4 sets 2, 4 sets 3, 5 sets 2, focusing on tent and speed and not maximally loading it up, you can still get a lot of great benefits from that. And the volume should be low enough that they should be fine, especially if they were doing all this. Man, that kind of volume would be easy to recover from. And then we've got more rotation supersetted and closer at push-ups with more lateral lunges on the Bosu ball and scoop toss and med ball slams. So I would take the scoop toss, throw that up towards the top. If you want to keep the med ball slams in there, I would do that 2 days in a row. I'd find something else, maybe like that push press or a push jerk for your upper body power as well, but here nor there. And then you can go to we have the trap bar deadlift, as I mentioned, so it's not in here, but that's what I would do. I would go with the hex bar, trap bar deadlift, superset that with a mobility-based drill, or even one of your core rotation drills if you're really big on that, which this guy is, or girl is. And then I would then have not the bent over dumbbell row. I'd use, again, a chest-supported row or a tripod dumbbell row, something like that. Again, then you can superset that with your reverse lunge, do your push-ups, your lateral lunge, and then you're out. So a little bit better here. Again, some tweaks, as we can see. So to recap this really quickly, so you kind of have an idea here. I want to make sure that I'm very clear. I'm not going to call out the school or anything. But this training program, again, is not the worst I've seen. It's not the best. If I had to give it a grade, so we're going to go with some grades on these. I'm doing. If I had to give this a grade on a 1 to 10 scale, I'm going to give it about a 6 out of 10, and that's probably being generous. It probably should be more like 5. The only reason I'm giving it a 6 is because towards the end, things actually kind of started to resemble something that I think could be really built upon and really maximized. I think the very beginning, there's too much volume. There's no way an athlete's going to recover from this. If you know college athletes, they don't get enough sleep. They don't eat well enough. They don't think about recovering from stuff like this. I myself would not want to try to do a program like this and try to recover from it on top of adding in the running and the skill work and everything else. It's just a lot of work up front. And I understand that for most, if you look at most training programs, especially from like a block perspective like this, they're basically going through a accumulation phase and then a transition phase and then a realization phase at the end, because they're going to be playing soccer and then they're going to be passing them on to, going home or then coming back over the summer. So not some bad things. It's not like they're picking bad exercises. Like I think there's just a lot of redundancy that could easily be cleaned up, and then we can substitute some other things, adjust our sets and reps, and really get the most out of this training program and maximize our time, and probably even spend less time in the strength and conditioning room and getting more results. Which at the end of the day, if we're working with an athlete like this, like a Division III soccer player or soccer players, we want to be able to maximize our time, because we know that they're Division III, not always, but their skill level is obviously not up to that of Division I. So we can use this to accelerate our performance and then get more time and touches, what we need to do with our coach, right? And it's just more recoverable. So this could just be what was sent to this incoming freshman. This could be not what the actual team's doing. There could be a completely different training program for the team. But again, this is what was given into my hands for this spring semester for this athlete. I'm clearly doing their training program. We're obviously not doing this training program, but there are things that we do use in this. We are front squatting. We are doing hex bar deadlifts. We are doing plyometrics. We are doing sprints. We are doing acceleration work. We are doing a lot of hamstring specific stuff. We're doing single leg work. Like, this is hitting along on a lot of those things. We're just going into the weeds on my side to revamp this and try to get this up to a better program and improve it. So if you happen to like today's video of this, I really appreciate you watching, tuning in, listening after the fact of this training program. I'm going to be trying to find me another one. I'm not sure how frequently I'm going to be doing these. I would love to do them about every week, every other week. But again, I got to get a program in my hand. So again, if you happen to know of a program or just any general training program, doesn't have to be college soccer or college sports, you can just let me know in the comment section below. Let me know a program you want me to try to review. I will do a walkthrough step-by-step of the training program. This was obviously a lot because it was, again, a whole semester, and I really went into the weeds of it. But, if you just give me a 4-week training block or an 8-week training block, that works well too. I'd be more than happy to review those. So thanks for tuning in for today's video. I'll see you at the next one.